Hello, the CS1 IDE has taken quite a big step forward this day as we have now an ability for teachers to start customizing lessons, um, somewhat more uniform UI in terms of the aesthetic, and the functionality is more consistent as well. Let's take a look. If I go in with a project, Uh, first thing to notice is here is we have a more uniform color scheme throughout. We have the log section right here in the CS1 IDE that will log critical information from the remote server. We have a file that was loaded up here from the remote server that can be edited and saved to the remote server using this diskette icon. You can perform application builds with this wrench icon here. You can maximize the window that you're working in just by clicking the maximize button to have extra room, and you can minimize it without having any effect on anything else. As well, yeah, so any of these windows you can maximize. Over here you can maximize this window, and yeah, you can minimize it again. And what we're seeing here is, I would say, the first functional form of the CS1 IDE. First functional, what I mean is something that you can at least start to experiment with as an outside party who's just using and not joining me in the development end. We have over here a place to choose lessons. So if you wanted to choose a components lesson, you have the code over here associated with it. That's, in this case, it's loaded up from the remote server. You have a lesson right here. And now you can also go to a quiz. You can associate a quiz by clicking this check button. And it will go to a quiz, which is basically just it could be any online quiz platform, but I'm just using what teachers are so often used to using is Google Forms for quizzes. So why not? I've made my own LMS systems before with my own quiz setups, but why not use Google Forms? It's great. Teachers are used to it. They can continue to use it. And you can actually look for the answers as a student. You could search for the answers without having to submit the quiz, because we're actually just toggling between iframes by clicking back to the lesson. So this will get you back to the lesson if you wanted to research the information. Based on the lesson you're reading, you could then, as a student, be editing code and answering the quiz questions over here. Oh, only one question right now. I'm just proof of concept. And go back and forth between these with ease. And then once you're ready to prepared to finish the quiz and submit it, you can. Again, you can go back to the other lesson. And notice the other lesson, now it has the associated quiz right there. You can switch over to the lesson view. And I should probably have it switched to the lesson view when I switch lessons. I think I'll do that after seeing that. We also have a button right here just to launch the game. It launches the game right there in a new tab. Okay, so I'm not going to go through that whole ordeal about the game, but yeah, launch the game. Again, you can edit the game code over here that's associated with the lesson. You could save that to the remote server. Click here to build it. It will log out all the success or fail information. You can make any necessary edits if you have a syntax error or something, and then go ahead and resave it and then rebuild it and see if your build succeeds and so forth. So let's just take a look in the code here for the IDE so you can understand how teachers can set up their own configuration, their own files, basically. And I'll just jump right in. So teachers will be able to remix the CS1 IDE project, Currently, I'm working on a feature branch, so it doesn't say CS1 IDE. But if you go over here into the public components lessons templates, and then we have a ES6 module file .mjs, and in here we basically are just exporting a JavaScript object in JSON format. And what we get over here is just an easy way for teachers just to jump in, provide basically the name of a lesson, the URL to the lesson, so that teachers can actually just, create their own, if they wanted to just make a Google page or something like that, and or publish a Google document for the lesson or whatever. They can just do all that and just put the URL in there. I'm going to have other options where teachers can stylize and make their lesson pages. There's also the quiz URL right here, which is just basically a link to an embeddable Google form. And then I have code template set to false. I'll talk to you about that in a second. And then we have the save target. And the save target is basically what gets loaded into whenever you open up a lesson. It's the associated source code that gets loaded into the editor. Now, if you wanted to load something other than the remote file, your save target, then you could put something other than code template as false. Haven't actually implemented that yet, but I'll give you a case in point once I fully implement that. But for right now, you can just think of this as the associated source file in the game engine that's associated with the lesson. Same down here, here's another lesson called components. And here's the URL to the lesson file, and here's the URL to the quiz. And then here's the source code that's associated with that. So, and you can just easily just extend this. And as you fill this in, as a teacher, you just fill this in, just add more JSON notation in here, or JavaScript object notation. I guess that would be redundant. And just refer to your different lessons, and then that will automatically populate this drop-down menu right over here, which I will change to make it look better. But yeah, so this select menu is automatically populated based on that file. And then everything is basically, yeah, based off of that file, because that's really it at this point, right? Because we just have the associated code, source code, we have the lesson, and we have a quiz. I mean, it's good that you should have a lesson. I just put Wikipedia right here for just to put something over here. This is not, I would not consider a Wikipedia web page the lesson. This is just to illustrate how it will load up a particular lesson page whenever we switch over here. And it will have the associated quiz. It is important to check for students' understanding for concepts. You'll be able to use the analytics associated with the Google Forms if you use those, or whatever quiz system that you use. And it's obviously important to actually write code and build code into something that works to show that they truly have a robust understanding of what they're learning. However simple the contribution it might be to the whole project. So I'm really excited about this in terms of it's the first time we actually have some usability going on. So if you want to jump in and be an early adopter and kind of give me some feedback on which way you want things to go, you can just jump in at the GitHub and post some issues about things that you'd like to see changed, feature requests, and so forth. And then I will definitely take heed, and I will start churning out changes to the project in response. Okay, so anxious to hear your input and adoption. Once these lessons actually get fleshed out, at this point I think I'm going to make a few legit lessons. So you can see that, yeah, I don't expect these like little web pages to be lessons. I will get some legit lessons in here so you can see kind of the level of engagement that I can see students having at maybe the middle and high school level. So at this point, I think I'm ready to start pushing out some of that curricular content. And take care.